Good morning again, everybody. Good morning. Did you know that today is the first day of spring? Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, how cool is that? What was that? Oh, well, we'll show it. We'll show the weather, huh? Okay, so this morning, I'm going to use Reverend Lacey's topic, stake life upon truth. Now, I have to admit, when I first heard this topic, I was like, oh, so what does that mean? Okay, it took me a minute. It took me a minute to get there, and then I realized that what he was saying was that we have to know truth from a place that is so firm that it's a firm place on which to stand, a firm place on which to stake our claims in life. See? That's how we have to know the truth. And that's really what this talk is about. It's about knowing the truth. That's what all our classes are about. You know, a lot of people think our classes are about demonstrating. No, our classes are all about knowing truth. And you know what happens when you know the truth? You demonstrate. Isn't it interesting how that works? Okay? So Jesus told us, he said, ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. All right? Yeah. And as simple as those words are, they're often misunderstood, okay? Because very often we ignore the first 5 words of that statement that qualify the last 5 words of that statement. So we ignore that part that says that ye shall know the truth in order for the truth to set you free. You gotta know it, okay? So the truth doesn't set us free. If you get what he's saying knowing truth sets us free. And that's our work. That's the work that we have, knowing truth. He didn't say you will experience freedom if you want to be free. He didn't say that. He didn't say you will experience freedom if you really, 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 really want to be free. He didn't say that either, did he? He didn't say either of those. He basically said that knowing truth would free us from anything that isn't true. I really want you to, I'm turning these words inside out because I want you to hear them from a different place this morning. Knowing truth will free us from anything that isn't true. Isn't that powerful? Yeah, exactly. So, and because we know that we live in our minds, okay, and see through our belief. How many of you know you see your world through your belief system? Okay, so because we know that we live in our minds and we see our world through our belief system, then the only thing that we ever need to free ourselves from is a belief that's not in support of the truth. That's what has to change. Just the belief. Experiences like bondage and dis-ease and poverty, those experiences cannot live in truth. Did you know that? So if that's what I'm experiencing, then it's time for me to know the truth. Because in knowing the truth, I set myself free from those experiences. That's the power. That's the power that we're dealing with this morning. Now, yesterday, this is interesting because I really wasn't going to talk about this morning, but, it was too good to pass it up. Yesterday, I was walking out of the grocery store, and this guy walked up to me, and he said, so, ma'am, now that's where he was wrong to begin with. Okay, now how many of you in this room know what I'm talking about? Raise your hand. Okay. So, ma'am, he said, do you think this rain is natural? Or do you think that it's that nuclear stuff that's causing it? So I said, well, I think it's all natural. And so he said, I think that's what you want to believe. He said, I don't think that you're really facing reality. He said, we live in a global world. See? He said, and it takes no time for all that nuclear stuff to just blow over here. And I said, yeah, that's true. But it doesn't have to be a part of my world. And so he said, Jesus predicted this. He said it was going to all come back to us. And that's exactly what's happening. And I said to him, I said, well, because I don't think he's wrong. I think he's right for where he is. I really do. And I think that, my idea is perfect for me. I said, well, maybe that's what's happening in your world. But it's not what's happening in mine. See? And by that time, he had walked away and started talking to somebody else who would, basically agree with him. But it was a beautiful thing. I love it when those things come up because it gives us an opportunity to be clear. It doesn't give us an opportunity to make somebody wrong. It just gives us an opportunity to see, where am I thinking from? I love to bring current events into a talk so we can see, how are we applying this truth to what we're seeing in our world today? That's important. So he was really, to me, it was wonderful to have that discussion with him. But it's times like this when I realize how absolutely wonderful it is for me to have this teaching. Because this teaching tells me that I get to choose what's in my universe. And I get to choose what's not in my universe. See? I mean, cancer can be right next door. It doesn't even have to blow across the ocean. And I get to decide whether it's in my world or not. Depression can be deep in my subconscious. It doesn't have to blow in from anywhere. But I get to decide whether it's going to be a part of my world or not. I get to choose. In every situation, I get to choose. And it's times like this when someone brings something up to me that I realize that any situation, no matter what it is, any situation where I'm feeling powerless, it tells me in that moment that I could not be standing in the truth. It's impossible. If I'm feeling powerless, I know it's time for me to rethink. If I'm feeling powerless, I know it's time for me to recalculate because this calculation that I'm working from is off. That's what I watched the physicists do when I worked at Coherent. When they would predict what that laser was going to do, and they were basing it on the laws of physics. And if that laser didn't do what they said it was going to do, they didn't complain to the laser. They'd go in and recalculate. Something must be off in my calculation. So when I'm feeling powerless, I recalculate. What is it that I have made bigger than me? What is it that I have made bigger than God? See? And just know the truth of the situation. Know the truth of the situation, and by knowing it, I free myself from that situation. I free myself from what isn't true. Listen to that. How simple is that? I know the truth of the situation, and by knowing the truth of the situation, I free myself from what isn't true. So I don't have to live my life in fear. I don't have to live my life in fear of what's blowing across the ocean. I don't have to live my life in fear of what direction the wind is blowing in. See, what am I going to do? Take fewer breaths? Okay. Maybe just take half the amount of breaths that you normally take, Dar. Now that's ridiculous, isn't it? When I could simply know the truth and be set free of the experience. Okay? So I don't have to deny the facts of any situation that are before me. I can simply deny the necessity of whatever that is being in my life. Do you see how powerful we are? Yeah, I don't have to have that. That can be here, and anybody who wants it can have it. But I don't have to have it. There's no necessity for that in my life. I don't need that. So this morning you might be listening to me saying, because you've been watching the news and listening to the reports, and you might be saying, Dar, I usually kind of go along with what you're saying, but it doesn't sound like you're really in touch with reality on this one. Okay? And what I would say to you in that situation is that reality is exactly what I'm in touch with. Exactly what I'm in touch with. Not the reality of effects.